The music world just witnessed a seismic shift that nobody saw coming. Last week, Normani's debut studio album, Dopamine, outsold Kendrick Lamar's GNX in a head-turning upset, with Dopamine moving 51,000 equivalent album units compared to GNX's 34,000. This bombshell dropped mere days after Kendrick wrapped his blockbuster Grand National Tour with a sold-out finale in Washington, D.C., a moment that should have cemented his untouchable status in hip-hop. Instead, the charts tell a different story. Welcome to celebrity rap life, where the red carpets never roll up and the spotlight never fades. The rewards are legendary. Because in celebrity rap life, every downfall can become a comeback, and every headline tells a deeper story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next. A pop R&B newcomer has eclipsed one of the genre's most revered titans. The internet is ablaze with debates, theories, and hot takes. Is Kendrick Lamar, the Pulitzer Prize-winning, Grammy-sweeping, culture-defining rapper, losing his grip on relevance? Or is this just a blip in a career that's been nothing short of legendary? Let's dive into the numbers, the context, and the bigger picture to unpack what's really going on. Kendrick Lamar's GNX, released as a surprise drop on November 22, 2024, was a cultural event from the jump. The album, named after the 1987 Buick Grand National Experimental, roared onto the Billboard 200 at number 1 with 319,000 units in its first week, the biggest debut for a rap album in 2024. It dominated streaming platforms, racking up 380 million streams in its opening frame, and spawned 4 Billboard Hot 100 top 5 singles, including the chart-topping Squabble Up and Luther featuring SZA. Critics hailed it as a love letter to West Coast hip-hop, blending gritty lyricism with polished production from heavyweights like Soundwave, Jack Antonoff, and Mustard. The album's success was amplified by Kendrick's headline-making year, a decisive victory in his feud with Drake, a record-shattering Super Bowl 59 halftime performance, and 5 Grammy wins, including Record of the Year for Not Like Us. By the time Kendrick and SZA kicked off the Grand National Tour in April 2025, GNX was already a cornerstone of his legacy, with over 1 million units sold in the US alone by March 2025. Fast forward to last week, and the landscape looks drastically different. GNX, now in its 30th week on the charts, has slipped to 34,000 units, a respectable number for an album over 6 months old but a far cry from its early dominance. Meanwhile, Normani's Dopamine, released on June 14, 2024, through RCA Records, surged to 51,000 units, a remarkable feat for an artist who's been navigating the treacherous waters of a debut album rollout. Normani, a former Fifth Harmony member, has spent years building anticipation for Dopamine, dropping singles like Wild Side and 159 to keep fans engaged. The album, a sultry blend of R&B, pop, and dance influences, features collaborations with Cardi B, Ghana, and James Blake, and production from Stara and Tommy Brown. Critics praised its confident vocals and cohesive vibe, though some noted it leaned heavily on trends rather than breaking new ground. Commercially, Dopamine debuted at number 10 on the Billboard 200 with 36,000 units, a solid but unspectacular start. Its recent spike to 51,000 units, however, suggests Normani is hitting her stride at a pivotal moment. So, what's driving this unexpected flip? For Normani, the answer lies in a perfect storm of momentum. Last week, her single Candy Paint climbed into the Billboard Hot 100's top 20, fueled by a viral TikTok dance challenge and heavy radio play. A high-profile performance at the BET Awards on June 15, 2025, where she debuted a medley of Dopamine tracks, sent streams soaring. Social media buzz around her tour announcement, a 20-city North American trek set to begin in September, further amplified her visibility. Normani's fanbase, long frustrated by delays and label mishandling, has rallied behind Dopamine, pushing it back into the cultural conversation. The album's accessibility, with its radio-friendly hooks and danceable beats, has also broadened its appeal, pulling in casual listeners who might not gravitate toward Kendrick's denser, narrative-driven work. Kendrick's GNX, by contrast, is in a different phase of its life cycle. After its explosive debut, the album has settled into a steady but less urgent presence. Its streaming numbers, while still strong at 103 million on-demand streams last week, are down from their peak. Physical sales, which spiked after the Super Bowl and the tour's vinyl variants, have tapered off. The Grand National Tour, co-headlined with SZA, was a triumph, grossing over $120 million and breaking attendance records in cities like Los Angeles and Atlanta. But the tour's conclusion in D.C. on June 18, 2025, may have left GNX without the promotional engine that kept it front and center. Kendrick's minimal social media presence and lack of new singles since Peekaboo in March could also be factors. His focus has shifted to other ventures, including a delayed film project with South Park creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker, now slated for March 2026. Does this mean Kendrick is losing relevance? The question itself feels almost heretical. Kendrick Lamar is a once-in-a-generation artist whose influence transcends sales charts. His 2017 album Damn was the best-selling album of its year, and GNX has already outpaced most of 2024's rap releases in total units. His cultural footprint is undeniable. Not Like Us became a global anthem, sparking memes, legal battles, and endless discourse. The Grand National Tour wasn't just a concert series, it was a celebration of West Coast culture, with surprise appearances from Roddy Ricch, YG, and Ty Dolla $ign. Kendrick's ability to command stages, from Coachella to the Super Bowl, remains unmatched. At 38, he's not chasing trends but setting them, using GNX to elevate lesser-known LA artists like Dodie Six and Peso while delivering bars that demand repeat listens. Still, the numbers don't lie, and Normani's edge last week raises eyebrows. The music industry is a brutal arena where relevance can feel fleeting, even for giants like Kendrick. Hip-hop, in particular, is a young person's game, with streaming algorithms favoring fresh faces and viral moments. Normani, at 29, is tapping into that energy, leveraging platforms like TikTok and Instagram to connect with Gen Z listeners. Her aesthetic, glossy, confident, and unapologetically feminine, resonates in a pop landscape dominated by artists like SZA and Doja Cat. Kendrick's GNX, while critically acclaimed, is less immediately digestible. Its themes of legacy, Compton pride, and industry politics require engagement that casual fans might not invest. Tracks like Whacked Out Murals and Gloria are lyrically dense, rewarding for longtime listeners but less likely to go viral on social media. Another angle to consider is market saturation. Kendrick's 2024 was relentless. The Drake feud, GNX's surprise drop, the Super Bowl, and the tour kept him omnipresent. Fans may simply be catching their breath, turning their attention to newer releases like Dopamine. Normani, on the other hand, benefits from pent-up demand. After years of promises and false starts, Dopamine feels like a victory lap for her loyal supporters. Her underdog narrative, breaking free from Fifth Harmony's shadow, overcoming label woes, adds emotional weight to her success. For many, buying or streaming Dopamine is a way to root for Normani's comeback, a sentiment that doesn't apply to Kendrick, who's been at the top for over a decade. But let's zoom out. Album sales, while important, are just one metric in an artist's legacy. Kendrick's relevance isn't tied to a single week's chart performance. His discography, from Section .80 to GNX, is a masterclass in storytelling, with each project pushing hip-hop's boundaries. GNX's critical acclaim, including top 5 placements on 2024's best album lists from Billboard, Complex, and The Washington Post, underscores its staying power. His Grammy Hall and Super Bowl performance have introduced him to new audiences, ensuring his catalog continues to stream. In contrast, Dopamine's long-term impact is less certain. While Normani's sales spike is impressive, her album hasn't matched GNX's streaming dominance or cultural resonance. A week of outperformance doesn't erase Kendrick's 17.9 million album equivalent units sold worldwide as of 2018, a figure that's only grown with GNX's success. The comparison also highlights the different paths these artists are on. Normani is in the ascent phase, fighting to establish herself as a solo star. Every win, like Dopamine's 51,000 units, is a step toward that goal. Kendrick, meanwhile, is in legacy mode, curating experiences rather than chasing chart positions. His work with PG Lang, his independent creative company, prioritizes artistic control over commercial metrics. GNX's regional focus, celebrating LA's street culture, may limit its mainstream appeal but deepens its authenticity. Kendrick's decision to feature up-and-comers over A-listers was a flex of confidence, signaling he doesn't need megastar collabs to move units. Normani's Dopamine, with its star-studded guest list, is built for broad consumption, a strategy that's paying off in the short term. So, is Kendrick losing relevance? The data says no, but the optics of Normani's win invite scrutiny. In a vacuum, Dopamine's 51,000 units over GNX's 34,000 is a headline-grabbing moment, but context matters. Kendrick's tour fatigue, the natural decline of an older album, and Normani's viral surge all play a role. Hip-hop history is littered with examples of veterans being outshined by newcomers. Think Jay-Z versus Lil Wayne in the mid-2000s, only to reclaim their throne later. Kendrick's track record suggests he's far from fading. Rumors of a GNX Deluxe Edition, hinted at by collaborator Lefty Gunplay, and unreleased projects with J. Cole keep fans buzzing about what's next. For Normani, this moment is a triumph, proof she can hang with the heavyweights. Her ability to capitalize on Dopamine's momentum, through touring, singles, and media, will determine if she can sustain this high. For Kendrick, it's a reminder that even kings face challengers. His response, whether through new music or another cultural flex, will likely silence doubters. The charts are a snapshot, not a verdict. Kendrick Lamar's relevance isn't measured in one-week sales but in the stories he tells, the movements he sparks, and the artists he inspires. Normani's win is a spark. Kendrick's legacy is a wildfire. What do you think? Does this shake-up change how you see Kendrick's place in the game? Drop your take below, and let's keep the conversation going. This story is far from over, and the truth is still unfolding. I want to hear what you think. Drop your take in the comments. And if you don't want to miss the next twist, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next.